Hello, everyone. My name is Evan Amaral, and I am so thrilled to welcome you all to my new film series, New Cinematic Directions. If you joined us back in 2019 for my first program at the Emory Cinematheque, Not Coming to a Theater Near You, you'll have a sense of what kinds of films you're going to see here. In keeping with that program's spirit, all 6 screenings in the series are films you won't be able to see anywhere else in Atlanta. Even though theaters are still very much in various stages of reopening, I still wanted to highlight these kinds of brave new works which challenge the cultural hegemony of Hollywood product, along with the varieties of independent and art house cinema that maintain a place at the mainstream cinematic table. So that's why I chose New Cinematic Directions. Even though not all of these films are new in terms of their premieres, they're new to the majority of moviegoers. And this series is a way of giving them a platform and allowing you all, our Emory Cinematheque audience, to engage with them on your own terms and safely at home. It's my honor to get to present these 4 films by the pioneering filmmaker Sarah Maldoror to you all this week. Maldoror was the first woman of African descent in history to write and direct a feature film, which was 1972's Sambizanga, a personal favorite of Angela Davis, I might add, which was made with the support of the People's Liberation Army in the Angolan War of Independence, as a result of which the country was freed from nearly 500 years of Portuguese colonial rule in 1975. Maldoror's personal history is difficult to pin down. She worked on so many countries and with so many pivotal revolutionary and literary figures from across the globe. Maldoror's daughter, Anuchka de Andrade, will be joining us for a presentation of these screenings, a presentation after these screenings have concluded, to share more about her mother's life with us. I will speak about that more at the end of this introduction, but Anuchka and her sister have been working tirelessly to regain the rights to her mother's large and diverse filmography, to restore and to re-subtitle her films so that they can be shown more widely. Maldoror sadly passed away on April 13th, 2020 from COVID-19 complications, and New Cinematic Directions is dedicated to her memory. Myself and my advisors at the Department of Film and Media are grateful to have the opportunity to celebrate this titan of world cinema's life and films, and to also be able to celebrate the dedicated work being done by Anuchka and her family to bring Maldoror's films to an all-new generation. Here, I'm going to read a passage from a short biography of Maldoror by Berenice Reynaud that Anuchka has shared with me, which I think sheds incredible light on what made Maldoror's work so special and so unique within film history. There are unsolved questions, gaps, mysteries, and misunderstandings, willful or not, in Sarah Maldoror's career and biography that are best summarized by the origin of her name. Maldoror is the title of one of the venomous flowers of French culture, The Songs of Maldoror, a book-length descent into hell written by the 19th century poet Lautréamont. By choosing this name as an alias, Maldoror posited herself within French culture, claiming some of its most sophisticated, albeit slightly elitist aspects, while simultaneously embracing its iconoclastic tradition. Lautréamont is hailed as an ancestor to Rimbaud and the Surrealists. In one word, she paid homage to the dilemma of the French-speaking Black intellectual. In love with and a part of French culture, yet deeply aware that he or she will never belong to the mainstream. Another tantalizing question: where does Maldoror come from? Even though she made some of her better-known movies in Africa, she was born in France and is discreet about the nature of her West Indian descent. The point is, like many children of mixed parentage, Maldoror proudly claims her Black heritage and identifies with it. The most puzzling question: why wasn't Maldoror given the opportunity to direct more feature films after Sambizanga? As it stands now, her filmography is particularly impressive, as she has turned her camera, her incisive and generous gaze, her sense of rhythm and poetry, to a number of subjects, from the history of the Saint Denis Cathedral to African immigration in Paris, from the work of poets, fashion designers, sculptors, and singers, including the legendary Haitian Toto Bisante, one of the 4 members of the theater group Les Cliots she founded in the early 1960s, to adaptation of literary works, such as Leningrad Hospital from a story by Victor Serge, or Les Passagers du Tassili from a novel by Akli Tadjer. Yet after Monongambe, Guns for Banta, and mostly Sambizanga, our appetite was whetted, and we were expecting more African revolutionary movies from Sarah Maldoror. Not only because there are so few women working as directors in the African continent, but because Sambizanga, combining a superb mastery of cinematic language with a unique sensibility, both Pan-African and feminine, expressed a new powerful voice in world cinema. African women had never been shown with such compassion, understanding, and love, with such a keen attention to detail, body language, and modes of communication. Screening this week are 4 short and medium-length films by Sarah Maldoror, including the aforementioned Monongambe, her debut short film about a political prisoner detained by the Portuguese during the Angolan War of Independence. Like Sambizanga, this film concerns a wife and a husband torn apart by a war for national liberation as she attempts to reach him in prison with a gift of food. Food features prominently in the second film we're showing, A Dessert for Constance, which Maldoror produced for French television in 1982. In it, 2 African street cleaners in Paris discover a French cookbook on the job one day, and they turn to it during their lunch breaks to dream of meals beyond their daily ration of bread. When their friend falls ill and needs to return home to Africa, the 2 put their heads together to use their newfound culinary knowledge to help out their friend. A Dessert for Constance is a gentle comedy about the essential role of solidarity and survival, as well as the trials faced by African immigrants in Europe. The next 2 films are both short documentaries on personal friends of Maldoror and leaders of the Negritude literary movement, Léon Damas and Aimé Césaire. Léon de Damas is her poetic documentary celebrating the life and verse of Damas's poetry, as well as his essential role in pushing the Negritude moment forward. Aya pour Césaire, the last film in the program, takes on an even more reflective stance, as Maldoror travels to Césaire's hometown after his death, punctuating her journey with footage from previous films she made about and with him. These 2 films especially are representative of the portion of Maldoror's project dedicated to the global figures of Black liberation. In her excellent piece about Maldoror in The New Inquiry, titled Woman with a Weapon Camera, Yasmina Price puts it best. Maldoror's practice of counter-history and counter-imaging was threefold: pointing to the already central role of women, upholding figures of Black culture who received insufficient recognition, and pushing back against the institutionalized narratives that singularize struggle to make it clear that historical change will always be made by those who are likely to remain anonymous. Please do consider joining me, your fellow viewers, and Ms. Anuchka de Andrade for our discussion of these films on Saturday, March 13th at 4:00 p.m. Eastern Time. Anuchka will be giving a presentation on Maldoror's life and work for the first hour, and the second will be dedicated to an open question and answer session. If any students are out there, please do come with questions in mind. And please, all of you, do enjoy the films.